Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirusho here, and now, before we do begin, let us give a brief little review. In the last part, we had a number of events happening. We had Deku. Deku, he was going through quite a bit of things. He was trying to learn more about his particular powers, and he decided to do a little bit of a test. He gave some of his blood to Mina. Along with that, he also gave some of his blood over to a deceiver. And this had some interesting results. The deceiver began to listen to him, to understand what he wanted it to do. It knelt before him, showing that Izuku was now the alpha in its mind. Now, when this happened to Izuku, he also had another idea. He gave his blood to Mina and she was out for a few days. However, she awoke the same day. Nejire was shot. Her, Mei, and Chizuki were all on the way to UA. Mei wanted to find out more about what they could do to get things up and operational at UA. Let's put it this way. Make a deal with the devil you know, not the one you can't trust. Izuku, they know him. They might not be able, in their minds, to trust him reasonably. But whenever it comes to the military, they're going to push and push and push until they can bleed everyone for what they can. And that meant quite a bit. While they were on the way, they ran into a blockade. And Mei managed to take care of everyone using the blunderbuss. Nejire, however, threw a knife and ended up shot. She killed the person, but not before they at least gave her a serious injury. Now, with that being said, Deku arrived to try and save Nejire, and a new ability of his has come to the surface. He also managed to take down a relentless in blinding speed, getting them to UA and wrapping up Nejire's wounds with this strange material coming from his body. Now, Chizuki gave him an assignment. Head to the hospital and make sure to gather the supplies he needs. Otherwise, Nejire, the woman Izuku does love, she will die. She is bleeding internally, and her injuries are serious. This needs an actual operation. There's no telling how much damage that bullet did. I mean, there wasn't a lot of time, but they also don't even know if it's a clear-through wound. If there's an entry wound and an exit wound, that means there's going to be a lot more to do. But if it's only in there, yeah, they have to get it out too. And there's no telling how much damage that could do. Now then, with that being said, let us begin. Deku is currently running across the rooftops in the city, trying to think of a few things. Deku currently sprinting 10 steps and then bringing his foot down. Him smashing it down and leaping up into the air. Him going to fly through the air and think about exactly how a few months ago this could not have been possible. Deku smashing down and beginning to slide. Currently, him going to step off and then begin to jump again. Him leaping through the air. Deku flying up into the air and thinking about it. In his mind, this would not be possible 6 months ago. It reminds him of All Might flying through the air, though him landing. This time, Deku trying to step off with a mighty kick. His foot going to smash down as Deku does a leap off again. Him going up into the air and looking around, seeing the hospital in the distance. Currently, Deku beginning to fall a lot farther this time. A lot going through his mind, along with the wind flying through his hair. He's no longer human, no longer normal. Nejire is. How is this going to work? How is anything going to work? They still have to take out the hive and the military. The military gave them the bomb. The bomb didn't go off. They need someone. No. He needs to go back down there and restart the bomb. Maybe see what we could do there. Take out the hive and then turn their attention on the military? It's definitely an idea. Huh, definitely a lot. Currently, Deku going to turn his head. Before he does, goes smashing down on all fours. Him landing in the road as he look around, seeing a few zombies. Currently turning his head and seeing another deceiver, along with a relentless. Currently the creature turning his attention towards Izuku and beginning to roar out. However, Deku, he has a turn fully facing it. The creature, with its tails, swing as if to throw them outwards and slice in a few zombies, bringing them up as a show of dominance, trying to intimidate Deku. But Deku does stare at the creature. Before he does bring his hands back up, thinking about that strange material he produced, trying to think about what he could do, what it was. It was a part of him, right? Hmm. He really doesn't have time to think about this. Him looking at the creature and screaming out with a roar. Many of the creatures around them staring and turning their heads towards him. And the relentless does stare at Deku. Before there is the deceiver, which does go to open its mouth and begin to try and speak. However, Deku, he has a turn directly towards it. Currently, him feeling a strange sensation and bringing his hand up, staring at it, for beginning to watch this strange sludge-like material beginning to come out of his hand. And Deku does stare at it. His arm is practically making a mallet. He's not gonna lie though. This definitely could be useful. I'm gonna look up. Before, he has a makes way forwards and into the crowd of zombies. Currently, Deku swing this thing around as it is beginning to extend. Currently, flying into some of them as Deku, he has this massive chain and ball, basically, fly around. Currently, it going to begin to actually shape and turn. Deku swinging around more and trying to think more about it. Trying to gain a handle on this. Get a feel for it. This is a part of his body, though it does feel slightly more natural than he thought. Currently, this relentless creature going to stare at Izuku, him surrounded by the dead, as he has a turn, and this material is still being produced from him. Currently, Deku bring his hand up and trying to think more about it. However, it does still keep being produced. Deku going to bring his hand up and just try and flick it off, but it doesn't work. It's not coming off. And Izuku, here's a turn to the creature. It going to turn and begin to scurry away. And the deceiver does sit there, currently beginning to just stare at Izuku, not taking its eyes off of him. And this does slightly annoy him. Him turning and bringing his foot down, ripping off this part of his arm that does go to be undone. Currently him bringing his hand up and still seeing this material. However, it does actually shift over, beginning to come out and onto Izuku's left arm, before also beginning to cover a part of his torso. And this is slightly weird. The material is like a hot oil, the way it's bubbling and moving. That doesn't make sense though. Okay. Control. He needs control. He needs to hurry. Focus on Nidre. The material beginning to dismantle. Currently, the sludge going to pour off and fall onto the ground. And Deku, he has a feel something, turning his head and... What was that? No, there's something nearby. He knows he heard something, but what was it? Zombie scavengers? No. No, it's not the time. Him turning and going to run forwards. Currently him stepping on the hood of a car and leaping up into the air. Currently jumping half a block down before going to land, and jumping again, before there actually is the hospital, where Izuku, he does come smashing down. Him going to look around and say that the area looks deserted. The hospital is boarded up. There's zombies everywhere in the courtyard, and there's damage to the roof. But he smells something. Flesh. No, it's fresh. And that sound. Heartbeats? Yeah, there's people here. Looks torn up, but it's not. A good hiding spot, though. So there definitely is that. He did make some noise. Currently, somebody walking up to the door and then going to look out. Currently peering between two of the boards. Seeing as Deku, he does stand there. And he looks a bit worse for wear. Them seeing a man covered in zombie blood. Along with the fact that he's, well, alive. He looks like he's seen some hell. Currently, them bringing up a weapon and pointing it out. Going to whistle and try and catch his attention. Deku turning his head and staring at them. Before they go express exactly what does he want. You know, they're not exactly in the best area. Him going to bring his hands up, trying to go through it in his mind. How to handle this. What he could trade. He's got nothing. He could lie. He could steal. He could kill. Options. Definitely options. The amount of people in that building. Him stepping forwards, bringing his hands up, talking about it. Listen, he needs medical supplies. Someone he knows is injured. Badly. He just wants to take a few things, and he'll be on his way. That's all he wants. Up, 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 up. Stay where you are. Him stopping, talking about it. He just needs some stuff for his friend. She's going to bleed out. It took him a bit of time to get here. Far longer than he'd hoped. She's been shot. She was bleeding pretty damn bad. Seriously? Yeah. Listen, I've dealt with enough distractions and Deku thinks something strange. Bringing his hand behind his back. Talking about it. He's trying to help someone. Hey, hands where I can see them. Deku bring his hand slightly down and towards his side. The person is still staring at him, talking about it. Bring their finger to the trigger of the gun. I'm going to fire. Deku bring his hand up and grabbing the ball out of the air. Before the person, they do still stare at Izuku. Him talking about it. Bringing his hand up and holding the bullet up. Talking about how he just needs medical supplies. And the person, they're staring on confused. Currently them going to open fire on Izuku. Before he does a run forwards and smash directly into their barricade. Him throwing the door open as the person they're sent flying backwards. As if they just got hit by a car. Currently them smashing backwards on the ground as Deku does a turn. Him going to look around and see some of the boards. Grabbing one of them and turning to slide the door back closed. Turning back to the person, who does climb to their feet and run off, screaming about how that thing isn't human anymore. And Deku does turn, looking around at the old destroyed hospital, seeing the damage done. These people don't clean up. He sees the area. Lights are barely on, barely working. The wall's been smashed halfway down the hall, and there's paint on the walls. Some of it looks like paint. The rest, it's definitely old things from the previous residents. Currently, him moving into the hospital and trying to follow those heartbeats. Trying to talk about it. Someone saying down the hall, he just needs medical supplies and he'll be on his way. Currently, someone running a corner, seeing Deku and bring their hand up. Currently, them going to hold up a weapon, talking about it. As the person, they do come rounding the corner, yelling about how it's the guy that's not human. And Izuku does stand there, holding his hands up, asking if they're the boss. What do you want? You want to eat us? Not happening. Not at all. Listen, this thing here, it could do some damage. You might not want to mess with me, man. I'm a little jumpy right now. They're going staring at the person. Their heart rates. Uh, no. Do some math, Izuku. Crap. No, not 180. It's just high. They're they're freaking out. Okay, listen. Deku holding his hands up, and the person they do talk about it, turning the weapon and gonna pull the trigger. Before it does begin to spray some fire directly into the wall. Turning back to Izuku, talking about how just to stay where he is and get away from them. Just shut up for a second. He's confused. Deku is staring at everybody, and they all look different. This guy's strung out. His eyes are different, and he smells some things in the air. He doesn't look too good. Why are you here? I've seen this before. I just want medical supplies, and I'll go. I don't care about you. I don't care about any of that. All right? Just give me what I want, and I'll go. I don't trust him. They go looking around, seeing a girl who does have her eyes a little bit more bloodshot, and her hands don't stop shaking. Her talking about it. If they let him go, he'll come back with more. It's how it'll happen, right? I mean, they've all seen some shit like this before. I mean, there was that one place just down the road. They got fucking hit by something, and since then they've been quiet. They haven't sold anything there. And Deku does hear that word. Currently, him turning and looking at everybody, asking them if they're, well, selling supplies. I don't think anything you could use, zombie boy. Listen, leave, and I won't light you on fire. I heard it's a pretty painful way to go. Though, there's also been more. I just want medical supplies. And the longer we sit here talking about it, the angrier you're making me. Alright? I'm gonna say this once and clear. The person I care about, one of the people I care about the most, they're bleeding out right now, blocks away from here. If you give me those supplies, I can save their life. If you don't, they're going to die. Now, I am trying to be very calm with you, but the longer you try and do that, keep me here, I am going to hurt you. What do we do? Shut up. Just let me think. We gotta do something. I said let me think. Come on, man. You gotta make a choice. Just fry the bastard. The guy is staring at Izuku. Before Deku, he does feel a strange sensation in his arm once again. Him looking down and watching his arm, it does begin to fire out. Currently, it's slashing down and into the hallway. Before it does get turn and extend. Currently, wildly shooting in the hallway and twisting. Deku watching as this cloud of blackness shoots from his arm. It barreling its way down the hallway as the guys will pull the trigger and turn on the flamethrower. It shooting outwards and directly into this material. Before it is a wrap around the man and then begin to try and cover the rest of his allies. All of them beginning to try and fire in the corner at Izuku. However, there's a one of them does a turn, making their way into one of the rooms, trying to get something else. And we do currently have Izuku, who does stand there bringing up his left arm. Currently, him trying to reel this thing back in as he has to bring his hand to his wrist and try to think. Currently, him trying to stay calm and figure this out. As is a smash into the roof and pull the man up in the air. Him then gonna be screaming out in pain as Deku hears a pull his arm backwards and the man is sent flying towards him. Currently, him smashing down directly next to Izuku. Him currently with half of his face torn off, along with the fact that his head is not doing very good. He's wheezing air and trying to stay alive. And Izuku does a turn, looking at the man and bending down. Before he does, gonna turn his head and hear another sound. Somebody currently rolling something in the hallway to Izuku before he decided to look and see what it was, bringing his hand out to reach out to try and throw it back. As the bottle does go to explode, currently it igniting the area in flames as Izuku is sent flying backwards for a minute, his body covered in the flammable material. Him going to scream out as he does feel the pain. Him on fire. And the group, they do think that they're okay. They lost their friend, their leader, but they'll be fine. Just stay back and let it burn. Let those goddamn things burn. It's the best option, right? No, they gotta put a fucking bullet in it, right? Someone turning and grabbing a rifle. Before Izuku, he's a turn and get back onto his feet. Currently him lunging forwards as the person they gonna hold the gun, and Deku, they do get to see his eyes. Currently them full of rage before he's to bring his hands down to their shoulders. Them going to bring the weapon up to Izuku's neck, firing into it before Izuku does feel the bullets smash into his esophagus. Before he does, bring his teeth out and directly smash them into the person's neck, turning and throwing them to the wall before ripping this piece out of their throat. Turning and looking at everybody else. Someone going to bring their hand up to attack Izuku, but he does get to move forwards. Currently, him relying a bit more on that instinct of his. Before he has go rushing forwards. The person bring up a weapon for Izuku, just grab it by the front of it and smash it backwards in their body. Them having the wind knocked out of them before Izuku just bring his arm up and smash them on the side of the head, grabbing the weapon as the person they're gonna hit the wall, currently feeling their jaw be knocked out of place. And Deku does a turn, staring at the person who does sit there frozen. Them cowering in a bit of fear. And this does mean quite a bit. Deku staring at them and asking exactly if they're going to get medical supplies. You're not human. Deku turning and stabbing the gun directly into their ally. Them screaming out in pain before they do gonna fall over and try to figure this out. Currently them with a weapon poking out of the front. Deku turning his head and giving them a serious look, telling them, "Grab the supplies!" Currently his voice going a little deeper. The person turning and running into a room, trying to figure out what they can do. Figure out what they can say? I mean, it's definitely going to be a second. And Deku does a turn. Currently him feeling the fire going out. The rest of it is gone. Though that definitely was not a pleasant feeling. Currently him bringing his hand up. And feeling the side of his face, along with feeling his throat. Yeah, he's okay. Though that did definitely hurt. Turning and looking at the person, who he hit against the wall. Yep, dead. He was trying to be reasonable here. Turning and walking into the room. As the person, they are trying to gather everything they can together. Trying to tell the guy, turning around, that they've got a few of the things they have left. Listen, it's not much, but they go stepping forwards, looking in this bag and seeing what the fuck is all this? Looking around, thinking about the things Chizuki told him. And a lot of this stuff, it's nowhere near what it... The person turned their head, seeing a scalpel sitting on the table. Before they try to think, get a lucky shot in, hit him, take him out. Just Just try and injure and run. That's what they could do. I mean, aim for the throat, and this thing can't breathe, right? No, it doesn't need oxygen. Just aim for the head. Aim for the head. Bring their hand out, grabbing the scalpel, and trying to slowly get it in their hand. Though Izuku, he is focused on the medicine, turning when the person does go to try and rush him, bringing his hand up and grabbing them by the throat, picking them up into the air, and staring at them. The person just going to look at Izuku. For Izuku, he does going to bring his other hand up and bring them into a chokehold, turning their body towards him, talking about it, trying to tell them, currently them trying to fight Izuku's arms and get away from him, try to run, do anything. The scalpel clattering to the ground. And Deku does ask the person, are they going to give them any actual supplies? Let go of me. No. Is there any supplies left in the hospital? I don't know. We have Deku turning his arm. The person going to have their neck snap before he has to let go of them. Currently turning his head, looking around the room, trying to think about what to do. Though Izuku, he's going to be a little bit busy. Him turning and beginning to try and look around the room, running around the hospital and trying to go around the entire floor. Though some of the stuff is promising. Deku finding a security gate. Before he does, going to bring his hand up and grab onto it. Currently going to begin to pull and rip this thing out. Before he has a turn and toss it to the ground. Thinking about what exactly might be here. A lot better stuff. A lot more? Maybe. Though that list, he at least found some of the stuff there. The sterile supplies for operation, a little bit of morphine, but he's fairly certain they're going to need a lot more. Along with all those things to hold it? Yeah, no. No, he can hold it. He's not going to leave her side. He won't let that bastard just sit there and cut her open alone. He can help. He knows he can help. No, he's not going to let his Nejire die. Deku having that thought, spending some time getting through the area, grabbing and loading this bag up full of every medication he can find. He finds sterile supplies. He does find more morphine. He also does find more stronger drugs. Some stuff that people could not get to because of the security measures in the hospital. And he has to leave. However, there actually is on his way out, where Deku, he has to walk back through the carnage. Him still smelling the air in the hospital. Though he does a turn, his ear picking up not only a still beating heart, but a sound. Currently him turning, looking at the person who does lay there on the ground. Them with their hand up to their throat and trying to just get onto their feet. Their hands won't stop shaking. They're just oozing blood. That's a lot of blood. The person looking at Deku, as one of their eyes, they're changed. And this does somewhat surprise him. Currently him bending down, bringing his hand up and pulling it away from the wound. And the wound is still spurting blood. But it's healing? This alarming him. And the person, they do try to bring their hand up, sucking in a breath, and Deku does hear that extra airway bleeding in air. However, the person, they stare at him, trying to figure this out. Though Izuku, he does see a benefit to this. Bringing his hand down and grabbing them by their shirt, pulling them up as is a turn and drag them out of the hospital, along with carrying this bag. And we do have where Izuku does make the trip back over to UA. Currently, him getting in there on a bit of double time, not caring about how much noise he's making. However, making sure that bag is secured fastly on his back. And his guest, they're a little snug in his grip. And we do actually have Cheesy. He has a hear a loud crash. Currently, him looking around before he does go to think about what that could have been. Either that was a Zuku, or there's another problem at UA. Well then, this isn't here a roar, it should be good. They're expecting guest, and they haven't done anything to alert one of the, let's just say, more eccentric zombies. So there is definitely that. Though they did follow Izuku. He may not have been paying attention. It was divided. Though that does have this person worried. They're trying to think. Sir Night told them about the situation, about what may happen, about what's going to happen. This intrigues him. It could change a few things. The future has already changed. That is what Sir said. So, they've got to make sure it at least goes in their favor. And this is on the person's mind. Currently them standing there on top of the gates to UA, staring at the school. As Izuku, he has come running downstairs. Currently him with the bag in hand. Before talking about it, currently going to slam open the door as Shizuki does a turn. Seeing Izuku, who does bring his hand up. Going to toss the bag on the ground and then talk about it. Currently going to grab the supplies he can and pull them out. Telling Dr. Chizuki about what can happen. He has a turn. Looking at Deku, who has a turn walking over to Nedre. Bringing his hand down and checking her pulse. It's been over 30 minutes. Her pulse got weaker. Her breathing slowed down. She's currently him bringing his hand up. I'm going to try and check her heart. Currently him lifting her shirt and then going to turn. Grabbing a device and going to hold it up to her chest. Bring one piece up to his ear and trying to think. Counting what he can. Her heartbeat has slowed a lot more. Right. Deku walking over, bending down and asking if she's okay. It's not looking good, kid. Listen, she might also be concussed, so I don't think moving her is the best option. I would prefer to get her on a table, but we need to operate on her now. Alright? Listen, the large intestine might be damaged. Along with that, if there is something inside there, I've got to know. So when we get started, you need to listen to me very carefully. Alright? It's going to be a lot of pain, and she'll probably wake up. Did you get anything to sort that out? Deku turned towards the back. The man standing up and walking over. Currently pulling open this bag and seeing a treasure trove of... Okay, so he's going to need this morphine. He's going to need this. Okay, these are antibiotics, but not the ones he needed. Does she have an allergy to them? No. He doesn't know. Okay. Some of the stuff here he doesn't know anything about. She might... No, Chizuki, just focus on trying to stop the bleeding and cleaning the wound. Infection isn't the priority. However, there's also him turning. Asking Deku if he found any sort of blood at all. No. I looked. I was worried about getting back. I ran into some problems. I see. Anything else? Not really, no. Other than our guest upstairs, that's all I got. So you keep walking over. Currently, him going to start an IV on Nedre, holding up the morphine bag to Izuku. Deku standing up as the man does talk about it. Currently, Deku going to hold this up and allowing gravity to do its magic. Shizuki going to turn, beginning to open the sterile supplies and looking at a few things. Before he look down at Nedre, talking about it, looking back up at Izuku. Guest? Why did he bring someone back? Considering the fact that I ripped their throat open, they should be dead. But they're alive. Now, Chizuki, he does look at Deku confused, turning his head before trying to shake that off, looking back down, realizing one of two things. That's a problem. And number two, right now, Deku doesn't have a scratch on him. His clothes are messed up. And, well, yeah. If he can save Nedre, that's an incentive. Though there still is Setsuna. She can still be used as leverage against him. But if that's not possible, then... Okay. He's got to tread very lightly here, figuring out what to do. Shizuki beginning to look down, thinking about how to proceed with this. Before he does, go to turn and look directly at Mina, asking her to come over here and help. Before Mina does that turn and get up, helping Dr. Shizuki roll her over to the side as Nedre does some good a grunt. Deku being asked to pull this thing off. However, when he does actually look down, here's a turn, telling Mina to do it before she does bring her hand up to the material. As Chizuki does look up, telling Deku, once they start, they can't stop. Alright? This is going to be bad. And the moment he sees a wound, he's going to figure out what to do. Alright? Deku nodding his head. Before Mina is told to open this thing on her body. Before she's a pull. Currently, this black material going to be pulled off as Shizuki doesn't see an exit wound. This making him curse under his breath before Mina is does get a roll Nedre back on her back. Currently, Shizuki turning and going to look down, grabbing one of the tools and beginning to look over this entry wound, since he's got to find the bullet. And Nedre, she does begin to somewhat try and fight against this. Currently, her feeling her body spasm and move. Mina going to hold her down. And Shizuki, he does begin this operation. And Deku does stand there, watching exactly what happens. Shizuki, he does try to find the bullet, try and pull this thing out of her. However, as he's digging around in there, he is worried about causing more damage. Currently, Mina holding the Nedre down as the man he has to finally find the bullet. Before he does, could begin pulling it out as Deku does watch this bloody appendage come out. Currently, the tool holding onto the bullet before he does a turn. Him going to drop it on the ground and look at Deku, bringing his hand up, talking about it. Okay. He just needs Chizuki. Him looking up. Deku staring down at him, telling him, hurry. Right, okay. I need a scalpel. This is the part where things get a little bit more tricky. Once I open her up and see more damage, it's gonna decide how this happens. Deku turning his head, Shizuki grabbing a scalpel, and trying to be more careful. He needs to make a small incision. If he needs to, he can make it larger. Though that is asking a lot more. Okay. Just be careful, Shizuki. Bringing this tool down, begin to slice into Nejire. And Nejire, yeah, definitely still fighting against all that pain. This discomfort beginning to pull in her lower abdomen. Now, Deku, he does go to look at Nejire. Currently, her going to have her face begin to somewhat shift and change. Before she does, go to open her eyes and try to move. Currently, Mina holding her down before Chitsuki does a pull back the scalpel, and Nejire, she does try to fight. Deku turning and bringing his hand down. Her looking around, her eyes do focus on a face she does recognize. Bring her hand up, and she does go to hold it out towards Izuku. Her eyes full of tears. Her just feeling this pain, feeling numb, feeling cold. Before she does a turn, currently her hand gonna fall. And this, it does catch Deku off guard. Currently, Shizuki watching as Nijire's hand just smash on the ground and go limp. Before he does go turn. Currently him putting this thing back down on the tray he does have. Bring his hand up and gonna quickly move up to Nijire's neck. Checking for a pulse and okay. Is she okay? Shizuki gonna turn, looking up at Deku. And his face is not good. Izuku dropping the bag as is a smash on the ground. Currently, him staring down at Nejire. And the man, he does go sit there. Before he has to stand and bring his hands up. Currently, talking about it. He's going to step out. He tried to do what he could. He's sorry. She lost a lot of blood. The man going to stop himself. Because the next thing he was going to say, it wouldn't have been good information for Izuku to know. He was going to confirm at least one or two organs may have been hit. Not just one organ, like he originally thought. That information, Izuku, it might make him mad. And that's not something he'd like to do right now. Just think logically, Shizuki. Separate yourself from this bomb that might go off. I'm going to turn, walking away and leaving. Leaving Izuku with Mina and Nejire. Though Izuku, he does gotta just fall to his knees. Looking down at his eyes, they do begin to fill with some tears. Bringing his hand up and grabbing Nejire's still warm hand. And just thinking about it. Mina turning and asking if he's okay. Get out. She's gone. Mina, get out. Her looking at Deku. Before she's a turn and stand. Her quickly moving away, leaving Izuku with her. And he does just sit there. Her hands warm. Her eyes. He saw her die. Just like Ochako died in front of him. Fuck. Just like seeing Kirishima. God damn it. Just like Jiro in front of him. Deku looking down. Before he does try to think, this is hell. He's back, only to watch more people die. He's alive to watch more people die. He's sick of it. He doesn't want it anymore. Deku looking down and seeing the IV. Before, he does stare at the needle. Currently, it still in Nedre's arm. Before, Deku does have a strange thought. Currently, him turning to the bag and going to stand up. Him carefully setting Nedre's hand down onto the ground. And he does have one thought, one idea. It's risky. It's crazy. But in this crazy world, it's one of the only things you can think of that do make sense. And we do currently have outside of UA, where someone, they do sit there, them still watching the school for any signs of movement, any signs of outrage, any sign of anything. And this, it does have them on the edge of their own seat, them looking down and seeing the infected, seeing all the lesser creatures to what they are. And we do actually have later. Deku, he does still sit in the corner of the room. Before Nedre, she does still lay there, unmoving, unflinching. Before she suddenly jumps up, her gasping for air and then beginning to cough, turning and then beginning to spit out some fluid. Her also coughing up blood. And this, it does alarm her. Currently her going to bring her hands up and continue to puke this vile liquid. And she does try to think, sucking her breath for bringing her hand up, wiping her mouth and thinking about it. Her sucking in her breath and looking around. Her going to sit there on her knees, feeling weird, strange, as she remembers a lot happened. She was shot, she hit the ground, she was in a lot of pain, but now the pain's gone. Her turning her head and staring directly at Izuku, who does just sit there, his hands on his knees, and staring at her, his body fully leaned against the wall, though he doesn't have a smile on his face. He just looks surprised. Before the smile, it does begin to form, though it's not wide, it's small. And she just stared at him. Oh, what happened? I don't know what is going on. My head feels so weird. What? Huh? I didn't say anything. What? Was I... Was I shot? You're asking the obvious questions first. Yeah. You were. I don't feel it. Bring her hand down. And looking at this scar on her stomach. And it does sort of alarm her. A scar? But why does she have a scar? Along with that, there's the other marks. Those look like knife slashes. No. Those are too narrow. Too small? A smaller knife would have been needed. What? Her looking at Deku. Her mind finally bring the logic back into things. Scars take a long time to form. Scars mean you survive something. But the look on Deku's face, either he's happy she's awake after spending months and months and months recovering from this, or something else just happened. And the idea she does have in her mind doesn't leave her with a lot happy, a lot to rely on. She was seriously hurt, and Izuku is sitting there. What? Her sheepish. What? What happened? You were shot. I saw you after everything happened with the barricade down the road. I brought you in. What do you remember? I don't know. I just hit the ground. Everything went black. Then I'm awake. And then there's you in the light. And my head just doesn't feel right. I feel off. Everything feels fuzzy and there's this noise. I know. Listen. You died. What? Chizuki operated on you. You died. I saw you die. I didn't want you to die. What? What did you do? Listen, Nedre, what did you do? How am I alive? Are you saying I'm... But you are? Jizuki analyzed my blood a bit more. He's also attending to our guest I found at the hospital. He's done a little bit of research with what he can, though he's posed a theory to me. And the more he talks about it, the more sense it makes, though the less sense it does make too. Oh, what do you mean? Currently, him bringing himself up to the actual sitting position. Before he does, swing his hands forwards and move. Currently, him walking over and bringing his hand out, tapping on Nedre's chest, asking her if she does feel her heart beat. Currently, her bringing her own hand up, grabbing Izuku by his wrist. She can feel his, and then she has to bring her own hand up to her chest. She can feel hers as well. She can feel her heart, but it's not the same. It's slightly off. You can breathe, smell, hear, see. Your eyes aren't changing either. What? What happened to me? Nedre, I'm not undead. Well, Dr. Cheesy says I'm only halfway, I guess. Though I saved you. Dago's smiling and pulling Nedre into a hug. And Nedre does sit there. Currently, her still stunned. Deku's not a zombie. She's alive. She's not dead. She's not a zombie. And this, it does surprise her. Her just bringing her hands up and going to wrap them around Izuku. Just alarmed, surprised. Her mind has a million questions a million things she wants to know. But if this is what it's like for Izuku, she feels the same. She is the same. He's the same. This is her Izuku. And she doesn't want to start to cry. Deku holding her in UA, holding her in his arms. And she does just sit there, happy to be back in the land of the living, but at the same time, concerned. Since a lot of things, they've changed, not just her. And with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed, and have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.